I told my sons I wish I never gave birth to them. Original post. I don't regret it. I don't feel bad. I don't care how many times you come to my door to apologize. I let them and their father bully me for years. Call me all kinds of names. How they reject every present I ever bought them because it wasn't brand new or super expensive, despite me having to go hungry sometimes to even afford what I could get them. I come to their father's house one day to say happy birthday. They ignore me. I tried to give them a hug. I got pushed away. Their father told me to stop annoying them on their 16th birthday. For God's sake. I got them both Nintendo Switches for their birthday, and I set my carefully wrapped present on the table, and they opened it last. When they saw it, they said, "Really, that's it?" I looked confused and asked, "What's wrong? Was it the color this time? Or maybe they expected games too." "No one F plays Nintendo, you F dinosaur." They said, "Dinosaur? You guys never text me. I didn't know what you wanted, and I know you broke the one you shared, so I got you both your own." I told them. They set the presents I had to starve myself for on the table, and everyone went inside for the cake. I finally realized they don't care. They really don't care. Why it take me years to realize, I don't know, but I do know. I took the Switches and headed for the door. Their dad stopped me and in front of everyone said, "Hey, where are you going? You're leaving your kids on their B-day?" "Let her go. It won't make a difference," one of my boys said. Everyone laughed. Everyone F laughed. I started to tear up, and my son's aunt told me to stop being a big baby and hold the phone for pictures. I got angry, and I yelled, in front of everyone, "I hate you. I hate you all. I'm tired of this family abusing me, using my trauma against me, making me feel F small because I'm not rich and spoiled. I've done nothing but love this family. But because I'm built like a child, I can't sit with the adults. No one came to my birthday. Why should I be here? No one cares about me, but all won't bat an eye if I F died, would you?" Then I looked my boys dead in their eyes and said, "I hate you both too. I wish I never F had you." Ran out to my car and left. I blocked them all. The next day, I heard a knock on my door and saw my kid's father. He begged me to come to his house and talk to our kids. He says they're so sorry. Yet I've never heard this come out their mouths, so I'm not interested. That was 3 days ago, and ever since he come to my door and asked me to forgive them. But I don't think I can sorry for any errors. I'm kind of shaken up. Their father left an hour ago, so it's still on my mind. Now for the update. Daughter's post. I hate my mom and how she convinced thousands of people that she's the victim. This is going to be long, but please bear with me. I, 23F, am no longer in contact with my mom, Jane, because of years of abuse, manipulation, fear-mongering, and hatred. I was conceived through a one-night stand. Jane couldn't get in contact with the guy, and so carried and raised me as a single mother until she met someone. And God did she let me know about it. She made sure to tell me how unwanted, unlovable, and disgusting I was. She admitted to neglecting me as an infant and toddler, and how she would essentially have screaming matches with me. When I was 5, she met William, and they fell in love. They got married within a year, and William adopted me after his twin sons, John and Oscar, 16 months, were born. I was 7. Their relationship moved very fast, and I believe it caused a lot of turmoil. I truly believe the pregnancy was to trap William, but that's speculation and opening a whole can of worms. During the pregnancy, Jane would have tantrums about having twins, how she only wanted one, and how she'd only love the first one that came out. This was a new side to her that William hadn't seen before, and he shut it down quickly. Well, she kept her promise and only gave attention to Oscar. John was completely neglected by her other than to feed. She had intense PPD, and that's not her fault, but what is how she handled it. She refused to get help, and claimed PPD/PPP is for insane and bad mothers. At some point when the boys were a year or so old, she was admitted into hospital for having intense thoughts about hurting herself or others. She was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and PPP. She spent 5 months in hospital, a mental health facility. For those 5 months she was gone, I have never felt so much love from another person in my life. Bearing in mind, I was just 8. All I had known was yelling and emotional abuse. When she got out, both sides of the family had a big sit down and told her their expectations. It was all doable. Go to therapy, take her meds, and they made her a list of emergency contacts who she could call if she was feeling it all a bit too much. She had a support system in place. But she didn't use it. We moved out when William got home and found me at age 11 trying to cook dinner for my brothers, except Jane had turned the gas and electric off as punishment. Jane had locked herself in the bathroom and wouldn't come out because John was upset. Remember, she hates John. She had also thrown a ton of stuff around in a fit of rage because I said she probably shouldn't take Oscar to the shop if she can't walk straight. William packed our stuff up and we left for his mother's. Jane was not happy about that. When he found out she had thrown shit around and at me, he was furious. He filed for divorce the following Monday. The court gave him full custody with mandated visitations from Jane. I remember crying myself to sleep when I found that out. We moved out of Grandma's house and into a nice flat where we seemed to get our life together. Other than the visitation, we were good. Until William got a new job and we had to move across the city. This set Jane off, who up until this point had been on mostly good behavior. We moved closer to William's sister and her family. They all knew about Jane, Aunt was on the contact list. But we all tried to move forward. Things were good for a couple of years, but then I turned 16. The day after my 16th, I got a text from Jane telling me that she's moving out and that I need to pack up my stuff from my old room. I went, stupidly, and began putting things into piles. Jane just stood in the doorway and eventually began bawling her eyes out. She began apologizing for everything she had done and how she feels like a failure. This is when she told me about the emotional and verbal abuse she inflicted on me as an infant and toddler, and how she blames herself for my numerous mental health issues. This was all leading up to her asking if I could ever forgive her. I said no. I said that she may feel guilty, but she's stuck in this cycle where she's abused the boys as well. She lost her fucking mind and kicked me out. It got a little physical between us, and she ended up screaming that I'm no longer her daughter and how she's disowning me. When I got home, I told William everything. He was furious too and went to her place and arrived back home hours later with our stuff. I don't know what went down and I don't want to. We filed a police report. I had scrapes and bruises, and her mandated visits were lifted. A weight had been lifted off my shoulders. It was like this black cloud of negativity had finally eased up. I felt so much happier. I began to focus on school and my family without dreading having to see her. We couldn't get a RO, but she kept her distance. She would send birthday and Christmas cards, but we never reciprocated. The boys know a bit about what went down, but William was very frugal with what he told them. He said he didn't want to inflict unnecessary emotional damage onto them. Then, on their 16th, she shows up. Which was weird because she never shows up to anything. I kept my distance and stayed in the kitchen, but I could still see and hear everything. I was shaking in fear and had to run to the bathroom at one point. She had bought them both Nintendo Switches. They both opened her presents last and both quietly thanked her. There was no insults being thrown around. No one said, "Let her go, it won't make a difference." The atmosphere was stifling. In fact, it was Jane who yelled and insulted first. She called the twins ungrateful brats, and the second she stood up to yell, William and Auntie began to push her outside. As she was being pushed, she points at the twins and yelled, "You're both fucking ungrateful, unlovable little cunts, and my biggest regret is not aborting you when I had the chance." The party was naturally ruined at this point, and the boys are both totally emotionally destroyed. William left at one point to go and talk to her because she had blocked William, the only one who has her number, but I don't know the specifics. It's been a few weeks since the incident, and the boys are both destroyed. Oscar has become a recluse, and John isn't eating. I'm furious. I'm sorry for making this so long. I'm just so mad, traumatized, and upset by the whole thing. Edit. Hi everyone. I'm just popping in to clarify some things that I've been receiving in my DMs and questions in the cross posts. Because yes, I do read them. 1. I do have a Reddit account, but I only use it to post Sims 4 content. Kinda lame, I know. And I am only subscribed at following subs of games I play. My second year of uni has also been kicking my ass, and so I haven't been online as much. I know her post got a lot of traction, but I didn't see it. Plus, it got deleted, so it's not gonna pop up on suggested sub posts Reddit is pushing. 2. I did hear about my mother's post from the THT podcast, hence the weird timing. I know it seems a little coincidental, but I promise this is all real. 3. I have zero ill will towards anyone who sympathized with my mother as they were going off her original post. I've gotten many people doming me about it, and I just wanted to say that I totally understand why anyone reading the original post would think, what a shit family. It did suck to read everyone siding with her, but there is literally no reason to be mad as that's all the info they had. Obligatory, thanks for the support comment. I will be logging out now for my own sake. Story 2. I finally told my father's infantilizing friend that I hate him. Original post. Years ago, my dad met Harold through mutual friends, and they hit it off. I was 18 and in college when I met him, and we never had a close relationship. However, he always seemed to think of himself as a family friend, and was extremely infantilizing and condescending towards me. Every time I saw him, I'd try to tell myself it wasn't that bad, only for him to prove me wrong less than a minute later. Harold would disrespect my boundaries, say things like, "You're not 19, you're a baby," while I was talking to other people, and patronize me, my education, or my hobbies whenever he had the chance. He always noticed that annoyed me, to which he'd playfully ask if I hated him. I always said no, but only for my father's sake. The final straw came the day Harold interrupted a barbecue to say, "I really like you, even though you're an impolite brat." I was 20 years old. I'd been quiet all day, working on a paper during the barbecue, but replied patiently and politely whenever anyone addressed me. And even if that hadn't been the case, I knew he didn't have the right to talk to me like that. After that, I started making an effort to avoid any events I knew he'd be attending. Yesterday was my father's girlfriend's birthday. They threw a small lunch party at my dad's apartment. I went there with my fiance and our 6-month-old son. Harold was there. I hadn't seen him in months, but he still talked to me as if I was a dumb child. Never mind that I'm engaged, a mother, and 26 years old. I spent the whole party ignoring his helpful advice about me being too young to get married or be a mom. It helped that most of the other guests seemed to disagree with him. My baby spent most of the afternoon sleeping. There's a bassinet in my old room. He woke up hungry, so I went to breastfeed him and excused myself from the party for a while. I got back to jokes and comments, all from Harold, about how I was probably struggling if my son was managing to leech me away for so long. He went on to interrupt a conversation I was having with another of my dad's friends to question pretty much everything about my parenting. He doesn't even have custody of his daughter, by the way, and to make more comments about my age. I decided I couldn't take it anymore after he asked if I'd thought about giving my baby up for adoption. I got my son and told my fiance we were leaving. We said goodbye to everyone except Harold. When we got to the door, Harold came to ask why we were leaving. I tried to make up an excuse, but he kept trying to make us stay. After a small back and forth, he jokingly asked if I hated him. And this time, I said, "Yes, I do. Can we go now?" He didn't say anything, and we left. On the way home, my fiance said he was proud of me. My father called this morning to say the opposite, and we had a small fight, but ultimately decided to drop the subject. I'm sure this isn't over, but if it keeps going, it won't be because of me. This is far from my proudest moment, and a small part of me regrets it, but I'm done with that guy. Edit. Jesus Christ Superstar, that's a lot of comments. To answer some common questions. I don't think Harold is in love with me. Harold didn't tell me to give up my son. He asked if I'd thought of doing so when I got pregnant. It was still an awful question, especially since he interrupted a conversation I was having with someone else, my dad's girlfriend's pregnant friend, who was asking about my own pregnancy and delivery, to ask it. I don't like making a big deal out of things unless necessary. If I'm uncomfortable, I leave. If I don't like someone, I avoid them. It's usually less stressful. The fight between me and my father ended when I told him about the adoption comment. I don't think he gets that's not the only reason I left, but it was definitely what broke the camel's back. I really don't need my father to stop being friends with Harold. He's a grown man capable of making his own crappy decisions. I never told my dad I hated Harold because I never thought I had to like him in the first place. He's my father's friend, not mine. And I've been distancing myself from Harold since I was 20, meaning I haven't seen him much in the last 6 years. My fiance was on the other side of the room and wasn't listening to Harold's comments. I filled him in when we got to the car. He's 100% on my side. Now for the update. Update 1. Hey guys. I wasn't going to write an update, but I just got some free time and I figured I'd fill you in. I'll start by addressing the very frequent assumption that Harold has feelings for me. I really don't think that's the case. His comments always came out as annoying and condescending, but never sexual. But I will say that your comments scared the shit out of me. And the fact that the general consensus was, "Fuck Harold," was weirdly heartwarming. I also want to add that, while I did regret what I said a little bit, I never doubted I'd done the right thing. I think most of my regret came from the fact that my 8 years of keeping the peace were over. It took some time for the relief to sink in. Truth be told, I've been wanting to do this since the barbecue incident, which was when I went from "I don't like that guy" to "I can't stand that guy." My father called Harold the day after I made my previous post. When confronted about the adoption comment, he tried to twist it as him being genuinely concerned about me being a mom so soon, and that he didn't think I knew what I was doing. He did apologize to my father. I don't buy any of that. The next day, my dad told me about the call. He said I should forgive Harold for what he thought was an honest misunderstanding. He also told me I should apologize too, since I'd overreacted by telling Harold I hated him for such a small reason. Many of Harold's past comments were made with my father close by. It often happened in the middle of conversations with other people, so he'd be too distracted to register them. He also wouldn't notice them most of the time. My dad doesn't pay enough attention to anything that doesn't either concern or anger him, and he'll most likely forget it until he gets angry at something else later anyway. He's like a meth head goldfish. We also have different definitions of what's offensive, so he'd never think they were a big deal. I told my father I wasn't exaggerating when I said I hated Harold, and that the adoption comment was far from being the only reason. I listed most of the condescending treatment and comments I could remember, including the ones from the party. He didn't remember any of them. I made it very clear that I'd hated Harold for years prior to the party, and that I had nothing to apologize for. I then stated that I'm no longer coming to any events Harold is invited to. My father doesn't need to stop being friends with him, or even stop inviting him to stuff, but he can no longer expect me to show up as well. I will ask him beforehand, and if he lies, I'll leave. My father called me dramatic, but I pointed out that I've been avoiding Harold for 6 years now and no one even noticed, so it clearly wasn't a problem. I've only seen him a handful of times since the barbecue incident, and only twice for more than a few minutes. The lunch party last week and another party back when I was pregnant. It clearly didn't ruin my father's life. I'm not obliged to like his friends any more than he is to like mine. There was some back and forth, but he agreed to my terms. We spoke yesterday about something else, and he mentioned Harold was upset. I ignored that. I'm not going NC with my father. Yes, I'm very well aware he's an asshole, and I came really close to cutting times with him in the last few years, but I ultimately decided it wouldn't really fix anything. Maintaining my relationship with him has gotten a lot easier since I moved out, as we only see each other a couple times a month. He gets frustrated that I don't call or text much, but doesn't complain about it anymore. I don't see the point in going NC with someone who no longer has any say in how I live my life. I'd rather just take note of what my father did wrong when I was growing up, and then make sure to raise my own kid differently. He's on thin ice though, and has been for some time. He's not allowed to babysit, mostly because I don't trust him to spend more than an hour alone with a baby without falling asleep on the couch. I began pushing for him to start doing therapy back when I got pregnant, and he finally got started back in June. His behavior around me and my younger sister, who still lives between our very divorced parents, has improved a lot since, and I've made it clear to him that he won't be allowed near my son if he stops attending. This is the first time in my life my father has improved his behavior. It's hard to be hopeful, but I'm trying. And if I ever do go NC with my father, it won't be because of fucking Harold. So that's it. Overall, I'm glad I don't have to deceive anyone anymore. My relationship with my father is rocky, but I won't dwell on it. My main responsibilities are my son, my fiance, and my job, and that's not changing anytime soon. And to those who mentioned Jesus Christ Superstar and Blue Oyster Cult in my last post, has anyone told you you're fucking awesome today? Because you are. Update 2. Hey guys. Wow, I can't believe it's been over a year since I last posted about this. I planned on updating some time ago. These past few months, I've been caught up in raising a toddler, getting married, yay, working like crazy, and rewatching Supernatural. Needless to say, I've been busy. Openly avoiding Harold has been working pretty well. My father has been respecting my boundaries. Whenever he invites me and my husband over for lunch or dinner, I ask who else will be there. If Harold's coming, he tells me. He hasn't lied so far, and doesn't usually insist when I tell him I'm not coming. Since my last post, I've only seen Harold once, at my dad's birthday party a few months ago. Yes, I knew he'd be there. My father promised he'd tell him not to talk to me. Also, some of my father's friends' kids, most of whom I used to babysit, would be there. I hadn't seen them in a while, and I love them more than I hate Harold. I ended up spending most of the party with my son and the kids. Harold didn't talk to me at all, so I guess my father was true to his word. My husband and I did catch him staring at us a couple times, but I decided to ignore it. I caught my husband staring back once, and the walking marshmallow I married actually managed to look threatening. I love this man. You know who did talk to me? Harold's girlfriend. Yes, he has one now. She interacted with me twice. First, she came over to coo over my son before making a comment about how he needed a haircut. Ha ha ha, I already hate you. Later, she approached me and said, "You're shy, aren't you?" I said no. She laughed and said, "Yeah, you're shy." She said all that in the same tone one would use to talk to a 6-year-old. I managed to keep my expression schooled. Otherwise, I would have told her I'm not shy. I just chose to spend the whole party with the kids because they were better company than her and her annoying ass boyfriend. So yeah, based on both my interactions with her, Harold's girlfriend is insufferable. In other words, they're perfect for each other. I don't have much else to add. My father broke up with the woman he was dating last year, long F story, and has a new girlfriend. She is not annoying or psychotic, and I actually really like her. They won't last a year. My relationship with my father is still not perfect, by the way, but it has improved. He's actually started apologizing to me a lot more often. I don't know whether it's the therapy or the fact that motherhood has apparently made me terrifying, but I'll take it. And I'll give credit where it's due. He's a very good grandfather. I'm also glad my father is respecting this Harold boundary. I very much don't want this man in my life. Honestly, I'm pretty satisfied right now. My little boy is thriving. Part of me really misses the baby times, but I grow prouder and prouder every day. Getting to know my kid has been fantastic. If you are enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you.